Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped, and welcome to Harbour Cars again. Now, if you watch my channel, I've been here a number of times to drive some very special cars, but I was kind of inspired by the film I shot recently with the 911 Targa 4S and the Maserati Grandturismo. Just what can you get for your money? So I had a chat with my mate Chris, who works here at Harbour Cars, because they have this car in stock, and I reckon this is probably the most bang for your buck you can get. This is an SLK55 5.5 litre V8 inside a very, very small two-seat roadster. This is a lot of fun, so I thought it would be really interesting to take a look around the car. We're going to take it up the road, make some amazing noises in this car, and just have a think about it, because when you see how much this car's up for sale for, you're not going to believe it. So let's start this review from the driver's seat in this SLK55. Now I have to admit, I've always had a bit of a soft spot for the SLK55. I'm not a massive SLK fan as it happens, but the 55 with the V8 5.5 litre, that's always going to be a good thing. And I've always thought about, maybe that could be a car I could buy. This particular model has just over 42,000 miles on the clock. Very, very well appointed, a beautiful cabin. I've got plenty of room. I'm a big guy, as you know, and very, very comfortable, very well apportioned place to be. Lots and lots of tech, Harman Kardon stereo, really, really nice. So let's have a bit of a look at some of the cabin features. We need to have a think about what's under the bonnet, because one of the things I love about this car is, for the purchase price, you're getting maybe one of the best, most reliable, most awesome power units you can buy. I mean, AMG engines are completely bulletproof, and that's kind of what's powering this car. And also, if you think about it, it's so powerful and so torquey. This car weighs so little. It's a really, really interesting prospect. Can't wait to drive this car out on the road.
This 5.5 litre bi-turbo V8 from AMG is hand assembled by one person and produces 416 bhp and 398 pounds-feet of torque. This is delivered through the rear wheels of this 1610 kilo roadster, meaning 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds and a limited top speed of 155 miles an hour.
Now, one of my favourite features fitted to this car as a convertible owner, I've always thought it was a stroke of genius by Mercedes-Benz, is this thing here. So this is the air scarf. And what this basically does is it blows warm air around your neck and your shoulders as you're driving along with the roof down. And it's just genius, because my rule is if it ain't raining, the roof's down. But sometimes on a really cold day, you get quite cold. So put the windows up, great heating system, air scarf. What more do you want, especially in the UK? You don't have the warmest weather going, do we?
The black leather interior looks great, and there's lots of options on this car, including the Harman Kardon stereo, parking guidance, folding mirrors, heated seats, cruise and remote control roof.
So one of the things I love most about this car is the fact it's a convertible, but it's a hard top roof. So let's have a bit of a look at the mechanism. I'm going to start the car. What a shame. Such a great mechanism. And I've now got a hardtop with a glass panoramic roof, which is very, very cool. Now, you are going to pay a little penalty for having the roof down with this big kind of mechanism here with a glass roof and so on, but you still have quite a large amount of boot space. You've just got kind of restricted entry into that. But obviously, if you had the roof up during the winter or when it's raining, you've got quite a large amount of boot space here, which makes this car really, really practical. Starting to run out of things to talk about in here, and just basically want to get out on the road and drive this car. So I think the next thing we have to do is go and get this car dirty. So here we are, guys, out on the road in this SLK55. Now we're just kind of heading out to some nice roads and letting the car warm up. And I have got Chris from Harbour Cars next to me, and I might get him on camera a bit later on. Always, I don't want to get me on camera. But we were just having a conversation, and we reckon, and it would be interesting to put your comments below, this has got to be one of the biggest literages and powerful engines in the smallest car I can think of. 5.5 litre V8 in a two-seat roadster. Absolutely bonkers. So driven through an auto box. I've got a number of different settings. Now it's a reasonably damp, cold day today. This is a car that's currently up for sale, so I'm not going to be doing any kind of major yahoo. You'd be pleased to know that.
A little bit disappointed.
Yeah. So we are going to take it gently, but I'm just really intrigued to drive the car. One of the things I've always had against the SLK, I think, is the fact it's an auto box. But with this car, it's got so much power and it makes such an amazing noise. I might be able to forgive it for that. But let's go and take it out and try and find some nice roads, not the Chichester bypass. So I've got a number of different driver modes. We've got a comfort mode. I've just put it into sport mode, and I'm just going to see, just coming out of this nice little roundabout here, because it is quite dramatic when you put your foot on the loud pedal. Yeah, that's wicked. Now we're up to temperature on this thing. It's just, it sounds awesome. So let's have a bit of a chat about this car. So it's a 2012 car. I was just talking to Chris, and Chris reckons this is one of the lowest priced facelifted SLKs currently for sale in the country. So you know, it's the new shape. This car is currently up for sale for £28,000. And I think that is an absolute bargain. And I really, really hate Chris sometimes, because he says, why don't you come over for a coffee, Pete, and we'll just talk about cars. And he does it, and he's always got really cool cars on the car. It's unintentional. It's unintentional. Yeah. And when we get back, I'll show you a couple of the cars that they've got. Absolutely brilliant. That's more like it. Now we're kind of off the beaten track a little bit, onto some nicer roads. So I do have manual paddles on the steering column, so I can kind of change manually. It's not the best manual changing box in the world, but it does sound. Oh, hello, a little bit of slip there. So I am actually going to not bother driving it in the manual box. I'm going to stick it in sport and just keep it in auto. To be honest, the auto box is really, really good anyway, and it kind of changes into the right gear for you and holds you in the right gears. In terms of size of car, it's a really tiny car. The bonnet's quite long, but it's not. So it looks long, but it shuts off quite quickly. But there's plenty of space in here, and certainly it's the kind of car that you could use and have a sort of a nice weekend away. You know, it's my kind of car. It's a little two-seat roadster, and it's very cool, but boy does it make a good noise. Now, one of the things we've just done is turned on the air scarf, even though the roof's still up. But we are going to drop the roof in a moment, but I did want to just mention that the roof's a panoramic glass roof, so even with the roof up, it's really light in here, and I like that a lot. I mean, it'd be brilliant for filming, actually. So this kind of hard top retractable roof is a really, really nice feature, and it makes it a really usable car, because when the weather is horrible and inclement, it doesn't matter. You basically just stick the roof up and you're in what feels like a coupe, yet you've got the ability to drop it down into a full convertible. So we've now dropped the roof. I've got Chris on camera because we just wanted to have a bit of a...
Well, just a chin wag.
Oh, mate.
That's gorgeous,
as soon as that roof comes down, you get this... And it's not got a kind of sports exhaust on there. It's just the natural stock exhaust.
AMG exhaust, yeah.
And it just rumbles and sounds absolutely wicked.
Addictive. It's so addictive.
Yeah, even at slower speeds. But you come out and I tell you what though, I know it's got. Oh, this is the kind of car where it doesn't want to be driven like a hooligan. It just wants to kind of rumble around, but man, is it quick.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's awesome.
It's quick. And you've got these lovely tree-lined route down here. And with the air scarf and the heating on, even though it's quite a cold day today, it's a really pleasant place to be. And
I'm still wearing my shirt.
Driving through lots of mud and
all the dirtiness.
Gonna get it very dirty, sorry.
I'll text Tony and tell him to get the hose out.
Tony, their valet, is gonna kill me when we get back. Bit of a cheeky crack on upshift. So now we're on a bit better road. And I am using the paddles. They are a little bit, you kind of have to predict when you're going to need to change gear. They're not the most responsive paddles in the world, but it just allows you to play with the gearbox a little bit more. But it is a very, very lovely sounding car. Really, really does sound bloody brilliant. Especially if we just come into this one and you've got to. Oh, there we go. It just surges along. It's got an awful lot of waftability. Is it the most dynamic feeling sports car I've driven? No. Is it quick and does it sound nice? Oh yeah. It just sounds brilliant. And it's got a really nice feel to it. Yeah, you do have to be pretty careful in these damp conditions. I've got all of the traction control and stuff switched on. So you can go to the paddles just by grabbing one. If you want to revert back to full auto, you just hold one of the paddles for a couple of seconds and then it drops into the normal drive box. And then you've got, it's a little bit like my Audi, it's got this ability to just kind of predict what gear it should be in, and when you brake it changes down for you, it holds the gears a bit longer. So I think if I owned one, that sport mode would be what I drove in most of the time, to be fair. That's a good bang for your buck, this. 28 grand. Seriously? Because it doesn't, it feels really new and tight. And if you think about it, 40,000 miles on a Mercedes, it's barely run in. You are never going to bore of that beautiful V8 rumble. But this car does produce a huge amount of torque and a huge amount of power. And you do have to be a bit wary when the roads are slippy. It's all through the rear wheels. Don't get me wrong, it's great fun. And I haven't really tapped into it a great deal on this short drive. So unusually for one of these reviews, I am going to basically break back to Harbour Cars showroom because I want to show you a couple of really lovely cars they've got there. One of which in particular, a beautiful yellow GT3. So let's have a quick look at those before we end this review.
Now, even though this is a video on the SLK55, I had to think of some way to get this car into a video. So I was actually here when this car came in for its original valeting and detailing. This is almost like the kind of Porsche unicorn. This is one owner from new, 2008 GT3, and it has just over 14,500 miles on the clock. It is absolutely perfect, absolutely beautiful. It's currently up for £105,000, so unfortunately I can't afford to buy it, but I just have a deep amount of lust for this car. I think it's absolutely beautiful. So I thought you might just like to have a quick look around it.
very, very beautiful and very special car, and I'm sure it's going to end up in someone's collection very, very soon. Sadly, I did beg Chris and offer him huge amounts of money to let me take it up the road for a drive, but that was never going to happen. But we are going to do a cold start because this thing sounds properly ace. Take it away, Chris. Yeah, very, very nice. Anyway, from this beautiful speed yellow GT3 back to me in the SLK55 to finish off the film. So I put the roof up for my clothes because I was just about to come back onto the dual carriageway and it's probably a bit blustery. So I thought I'd just give you my final impressions of this car. Well, I have to say, I've absolutely loved it. It's a really, really interesting car for me, this. You know, the engine and the drivetrain are phenomenal. The gearbox isn't for me, but it kind of suits the character of the car. I can imagine if they did this in a manual, oh my goodness me, that would be absolutely biblical. But it's such a great little car, this. It's so well appointed. Roof up or roof down, it's really, really lovely. I've got my air scarf and my heated seats keeping me warm on this cold winter's day. And it is a really, really cracking little car to drive, and it sounds amazing. So anyway, you know, it's another one of these trying to bring you something a little bit different. And I know I'm going to get comments, you know, oh, you could get cheaper, more bang for your buck than 28 grand. But really, 4-year-old SLK55 AMG, you know, with this kind of mileage, I think this is an absolute steal. Yeah, very, very interesting. I need to say a big thanks to Chris and all the guys at Harbour Cars. It's always great doing work with these guys. We exchange messages a lot, and I often pop in for coffee and just see what the stock is because they always have some amazing stock. I'll put their details below. You know, this isn't a sales pitch, but this car is for sale. So if you really, really like it, you should get in touch. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have done so, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol for plenty more content to come. And I'll see you on the next film, guys. Anyway, you take care. Drive safe.